sure.
That's not new. If you've been to meetups,
Non-labelists.
yeah, if you've been to meetups, you've met a lot of non-labelists. Hello everybody and welcome to the Filipino Freethinkers podcast that's also a video. I'm Red.
I'm Aldrin.
Yes, and today we are going to talk about the reaction to what happened in Paris and Beirut and many other places around the world, and the allegations that people are overly reacting or biased in their reactions towards Paris as compared to the non-existent even reaction to what happened in Beirut and in other places around the world. So let's start. Some background on my guest here.
Okay. I'm part Lebanese, so I'm sort of emotionally invested in what happened to Lebanon and Beirut.
Okay.
And I actually didn't really know about the Paris thing until days after. I didn't have Facebook, so I noticed that people were posting French flags and.
Did you change your flag to Beirut? Or your
Actually,
profile pic?
I inactivated my Facebook account.
You deactivated
it.
Yeah.
Not for that reason, but
Okay.
when that happened, I wasn't on Facebook, so that's why I didn't know about it.
Okay. So what's your sentiment on this? I mean, I imagine that you have some affinity with Paris as well. You speak French, right?
Oui, un peu.
Yeah. So what do you think? What's your take on this?
Well, it's just for me. It's just as tragic. You know what
Just
happened
as
to
tragic,
Paris,
okay.
what happened to Beirut, what happened to the Sinai Peninsula a few days before Beirut. It's just as tragic. Now, what I think is that what happened to. Just to give back, can we give a bit of background?
No. Okay, give a bit of background then.
So
Yeah.
on the 12th of November, in a southern suburb of Beirut, there were two suicide bombers,
Okay.
and they were supposedly from ISIL, from ISIS, and it was predominantly Shiite community that were mostly affected by the explosion. So about 30 to 40 people died in Beirut. Now, there was coverage. There was enough coverage in the media. It's just that I feel that people don't really care about Lebanon, about Beirut, because people just expect that, oh, it's just another Middle Eastern country.
So when you say people, you mean the
people
Western,
outside, people.
Those that tuned into the Western media.
Exactly. For me, it's not exactly the case, because Lebanon has relatively, I'm not saying it's a perfectly safe place in the Middle East, but it's a relatively safe place to be in. Syria's far worse, no offense. And that for that thing to happen to Lebanon is...
It's already an escalation of the violence that's happening in that area.
It's something that's alarming, because ISIL has not been able to, Daesh or ISIL has not been able to infiltrate Lebanon for the longest time.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first really instances where they were able to infiltrate Beirut, which was far away from Syria.
Yeah.
And that happened. So that's something that I think is alarming for the people in Lebanon. I've read about other Lebanese relatives who suddenly feel that they're not safe anymore around Beirut, which is something before that was not really a concern. I mean, we weren't really concerned about ISIL attacking Lebanon or Beirut, but people feel that, it's just normal. I mean,
you mean
people all the
who are
time.
tuned into the Western
Yeah,
media, not your circles, obviously.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So, that to me is a concern.
Yeah.
Although I'm not, of course, downplaying what happened to Paris.
It's kind of I kind of expect a pattern already. So there's a mainstream reaction to it.
Yeah.
Okay, Facebook is part of it. Facebook's in the mainstream.
Yeah.
They enabled that feature that lets you change your profile picture instead of to a rainbow flag. It's now the France flag, and people left and right, like who weren't as political before, would join in. Call it bandwagon or whatever. People are becoming more political, albeit in a less committed way, right? And then, just as expected, people will rag on the mainstream, the hipsters. Right? They were like, but something happened to Beirut a day earlier, and you weren't changing your flag to that to Lebanon, or you weren't you're reacting in the same way you are now. Right? Essentially, I felt that they were shaming these people who were expressing some political side of themselves that they wouldn't often see. Right? I don't know how that happened. Did they go to these people's pages and check the timeline? Like, how did you react to Beirut? Did they do that? Because that's the only way you can say that you didn't react in the same way to Beirut. I mean, sure, they would be correct more often than not. But I'm sure some people did react to Beirut and also to Paris. How did they know? Did they check? So I posted some updates. The first one, I said, like, those among you who reacted
I read that.
in an equal way to each and every tragedy around the world, equally, be the first to say, why only Paris?
Yeah.
And then I clarified after, saying, instead of raising more awareness, encouraging more people to be politically aware, some people think, they take this as an opportunity to brag about their own political awareness. It becomes sort of left off. It's that, I'm more left than you. I'm more progressive than you. Look at these obscure hipster causes that I know of, right? And why don't you know about them? Why are you only being so mainstream? That's so derivative of you, So I think that there is something there. Definitely. Like, people should be aware of what's happening, even when it's not highlighted by the Western media or whatever. And how should they know about it? Ideally, through friends who tell them. Like, I'm more politically aware. Here's some news. You can read up on it if you like. Right? That's one way. I don't know if it's the best way, but it's, I think, a lot better than telling people, hey, stupid, like, why are you only being aware about Paris? It's more of a way of communicating. It's more of to me, it's more of what your goals are. Like, do you want to educate someone, or do you want to berate someone and feel good about yourself? I mean, I'm not saying that every person has a responsibility to be the educator. It's okay if you want to just rant. You're free to do so, right? But for those of you who do want to educate, who sincerely care about raising awareness about more issues, I'm telling you, the way to do it is not
shaming.
To shame them. That rarely works. Like, it's the trend, fat shaming or shaming about this is a trend now. Like, the progressive left sort of feels that shaming works. These are the same people who oppose fat shaming, but they think that shaming people for not being progressive in whatever way works. So that's just inconsistent to me. And I think that if you really want to educate, think of communication. Think of the message. Think of the package you wrap your message in. If it's a package that makes the other person look stupid, they probably won't open it, right? They'd probably even be allergic to it, push it away, even when the presentation is better.
Raising awareness is one thing. It's another thing to shame people for not being aware of everything.
Yeah.
And so that's what I see is happening as well. Now, I personally care about what's happening to Lebanon. Some people don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's perhaps for me to let them know that something is happening as well, but not for me to tell them that just because you don't know about it doesn't mean that you're any less concerned about other people who are suffering.
You're not a worse person, or a less ethical, less moral person.
Because it's obviously Islamophobia is going to be a product of this.
Yeah.
What happened to Beirut, what happened especially to Paris, which is not a largely Muslim country. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be an issue, this Islamophobia thing going to happen. It's happening now again in France.
Yeah.
Happened when there was the Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah.
It's happening again. So I think in connection to shaming is that we shouldn't let other Muslims feel as if it's a dangerous thing to be Muslim.
There should be more education about the fact that it's only a minority of Muslims who do this. I do think that it's still okay. I mean, there is some nuance needed here, right? Nuance in the sense that you don't say that all Muslims are terrorists. Certainly not. It's still okay to criticize Islam. It should be.
Definitely. Yeah,
It should be. Because even Muslims themselves criticize Islam.
Yeah.
And for people to say you shouldn't criticize Islam at all defeats the progressive elements within Islam itself for changing it from the inside.
And what happened in Beirut is actually a Muslim against Muslim thing.
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
was a mostly Sunni Muslim group, ISIL, who thought about punishing, taking revenge on behalf of the Prophet on the Shiite people
Yeah.
in that suburb,
Yeah.
Lebanon. So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
It's really not for us who are more Western or more tuned into Western media.
Yeah.
For us to think that this is Islam or Muslims against the world, it's in itself there are so many different.
That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
Muslims themselves are take the brunt of
Yeah.
the Muslim violence of groups like ISIS and other extremist organizations. And messages like these, it's a marketplace of ideas. I like to use that metaphor. And you have to compete not only for the agreement, like that's the end goal, but even the attention of people for them to know about these ideas, to care about these ideas. And if you imagine that marketplace, it's easier to emphasize why the strategy of some people to shame others for not buying their product is not going to work. You see that person wearing the logo of the product they want to sell in front of the competing product, and then they're there, no, don't buy this product, buy my product, right? That's just in poor taste. And that's just not going to work. It doesn't matter if you have a good product, right? Sometimes it's the messenger that even shoots himself in the foot when they do things like this, and they won't even get a chance to see your product if you behave in a certain way. So I understand that there's a lot of rage, and because these are issues that bring out the passions of people, right? And which is why it's more important for reminders for temperance.
Yeah.
When it's unfortunate that when people listen to messages, it's not the content that they instantly judge. It's how the message is delivered, right? And if someone is angry and, ragging on, and they seem like they're not too confident about what they're saying. There's a saying in Tagalog, yung pikon talo, right? So if you seem like the one who's too affected, you will be the loser in this contest, in this marketplace of ideas. So certainly the more nuanced avoidance of the problems of Islamophobia, or more attention to issues outside of what the Western media serves you, is important. And to do that, rant all you want. Maybe talk to a friend about it. Like, talk about how pissed you are that all of these idiots around you are buying what the Western media, what the mainstream media is selling. And then go to Facebook, share the links that you want your friends to read. I mean, if you're still being followed by them, they'll see it. Just share, instead of sharing how angry you are at them for not knowing any better, just share how you feel about the issue, and hope that it infects them and motivates them to care more, or care as much as you do, or even just to start to care. Thank you so much for listening and watching to this episode. If you have comments, do say so in the comment section, or comment on Facebook, or wherever this is embedded. Do like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. Share this to all of your friends in a nice way, not in a shamey way, of course.
Of course.
And we will be meeting up about this. Details on that will be posted on the website. See you next week.